Biology. By definition, biology means the study of living organisms. And by living organism, I mean the human beings, the animals, the flora, the fauna, and everything in the nature around us. Biology helps in understanding ourselves. It also helps in understanding the various other organisms living around us. And along with that, it also helps us in the advancements in the field of medicine, agriculture, biotechnology, and many other areas, which helps to improve the quality of our life. When the pandemic hit and we were all scared, we were all locked down, and it created a havoc all around the world. It was the doctors and the vaccines that could save us. And it would have been possible without the biologists who were working day in and day out to find a solution to create a vaccine for us. And I really thank you to all those people who are working from the front, all the biologists, all the scientists, all the doctors who made this possible and helped to save each and every life that was possible. Thank you so much. So, hello everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Renaissance with Swati. And today I have with me Neha Varshney, who's a scientist in the United States. She studies cell division and she's a biologist. Hi Neha, how are you?
Hi Swati, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. So, Neha, would you like to tell more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I would like to thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to share my journey here. And I hope uh, that really helps some of the people who can resonate with what I feel and
Mhm,
what I have pursued
mhm.
in career. So about myself, Swati and I, we were classmates for a while, and then
Yes.
we had different journeys afterwards. Yeah, so I did my most of the education in Delhi. So I hailed from Delhi, and till bachelor's I was in Delhi, and then I
Mhm.
moved for to BHU for my masters,
Okay.
and I did masters in molecular and human genetics. So I pursued biology in school, and then
Mhm.
did biomedical sciences in bachelor's, and then uh, did masters in a more specialized course, that is molecular and human genetics, and
Nice.
then did PhD in Bangalore, and the
Nice.
PhD was in cell biology, and where there I worked on cell division in
Wow.
yeast. Yeah, so it becomes like more and more
Same.
specialized. And there where I knew that I'm gonna pursue research in the same field. And then I was applying for my postdoc, and then I landed up here in San Diego where I'm doing my postdoc right now in cell
Yeah.
division.
That's wonderful. So, Neha, I'm really inspired by your journey. Like you said, that, we were classmates and buddies in school. And, so Neha took biology and I took biotechnology. And I was always interested in genetics, how our DNA works, how to understand the human body and doing the research. But somehow I could not take that first step, to go into an unconventional field. So I landed up where I am right now in IT and I don't regret it. But still, Neha, you took that first step. So, when a person pursues biology, mostly they want to become a doctor, right? At least in India, they don't know what avenues are open for them. So, did you always know that you don't want to become a doctor, but go into the field of scientist, being a scientist?
No, the answer is no. Actually, I didn't always know that I want to be a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I did not know that the field scientists exist or a field of research really exists. But if
Mm-hmm.
I end up taking biology and this is what
Mm-hmm.
I interest me, and can I
Right.
what else I can do?
Right.
Because yeah, growing up, I was always inclined towards biology, and I have other interests like drawing and all, so that kind of also matched with my
Mm-hmm.
biology. Some experiences in school made me feel like I like biological processes, and I
Mm-hmm.
like to work with them and curious about them. Then, so that's how I joined. I took biology, and then after that, like everybody, like the typical role models around us back in India, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, at that time were mostly like everybody will want to become a doctor.
Right.
There's no other path. So I did apply and try for medical schools. But when in
Mm-hmm.
retrospect, when I think
Mm-hmm.
about it, I really feel like I think I wasn't cut out for that.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, um, but then I did apply for a doctor, and then got into dental, but then for different reasons, I did not join. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, I love biology, so I can just pursue it. Just continued, did my regular bachelor's. And then
Nice.
where I actually realized and bachelor's and during master's that
Mm.
those experiences and the ideas of discovering new things
Right.
made me really feel like I think I'm really passionate for science, and that passion developed over time. So yeah, so basically I never knew that I want to do this, but as I was growing up, and the opportunities and the experiences that I had made me learn about myself as well. Like I'm very fascinated about
Mm-hmm.
discovering new
Mm-hmm.
concepts, biology, and then possibilities. So yeah, and that's how I decided that I'm gonna do research and did PhD, and yeah.
That's wonderful. So a lot of studies, right? Sometimes I wonder that, how can the people who pursue biology study so much? Are you all anyways tired of studying somewhat, or do you love what you do? Researching means you have to study a lot. You have to study every day.
Yeah, I do remember I was when I was applying for PhD, I used to hear from some of my like colleagues, or not really colleagues, I would say, but I used to hear that like how long I want to study. It's very long, gonna be really long.
Right, right.
Yeah, some friends who were not into, like who chose different career paths, they were more settled in some sense
Right.
of like were applying for jobs, and I was applying for,
Mm-hmm.
degree program. It was
Right,
also challenging at the same time that
right.
I stepping into a very it's a very
Exact.
uncomfortable situation where it's
Mm-hmm.
different.
Okay.
It's during PhD, I think in masters, the experiences I got, like the hands-on
Mm-hmm.
training, then I
Mm-hmm.
realized it's more about doing experiments. So you definitely have to read, but it's not a lot of like everyday reading that it sounds like.
But
Yeah.
it's wonderful, in one way, you're just learning more and more about how we work. And I think that is the most important learning anyone should get. Like, for example, be it right now, these days, for example, mental health is so much talked about. So, studying about how our brain works, studied about how the different organs work, and studying about our DNAs, the cell division, that's so important. And that's wonderful that you're doing something like this. So, like you said, you come from a conventional Indian family and still you chose an unconventional path for your career. So, how was it? Was your family always supportive to help you pursue your dream?
Yeah, I would say coming from an conventional Indian family pursuing a career like this in
Hmm.
science
Right.
did come with its own challenges. There were often like expectations, like I would go for doctor, dentistry, or like your
Mm-hmm.
regular medical career, or
Mm-hmm.
uh, or you could they like everybody encourages you to become engineers, and because they're also very popular, nobody really, because of the lack of role model scientists
Mm-hmm.
around us, not really makes us or makes others aware about this career path. So it was a little bit challenging, but then there were moments of doubts within myself whether I'm getting into like PhD, will I be able to make it? And also like,
Right.
going away from family because I lived
Of
in
course.
Bangalore. Yeah, but I think it was something in me was like, I really want to do this. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm gonna go for it because I want to do this. So over time, I think as I made progress and it
Mm-hmm.
began had like small milestones
Mm-hmm.
achieved. I think my
Nice.
family like kind of supported to see like, okay, then now
Yeah,
believe and then so this
right.
could be a good career and things like
Right.
that. But
That's
initially
wonderful.
it was a rough ride, yeah. Because they also weren't aware, and
Mm-hmm.
one of my friends were in this field, but so many friends who were pursuing the similar had the same career trajectories.
So, do you think that, for example, when you were in school and now the generation who's passing out of school, are they still aware of all the avenues that are open to them after doing biology, like becoming a scientist and researching in all these areas, or are they still limited, focused only on the doctoral careers?
I think there is more awareness now for sure, as
Mm-hmm.
it was earlier, because of this, social media and then extensive use of LinkedIn, and
Mm-hmm.
then that's the idea as well.
Right, right.
So I think things are still evolving,
Mm-hmm.
but I would also still the norm is that, go for bio engineering, become a doctor. But for sure, now students are much more aware because of the social media and
Mm-hmm.
exposure they get. Because nowadays, like people have lots of trainings, and then they
Right.
meet new people, and then they learn about different careers they
Mm-hmm.
can pursue after
Mm-hmm.
biology. If
So, would you like to tell me that, how a day in the life of a scientist feels like? For example, what you do every day? Because, the term scientist is a very heavy term, but what
yeah.
exactly does it mean? What exactly do you do every day?
I mean, my day varies. It's mostly about discoveries. Like, so you have to start a project. Being scientist is like where you are a scientist, I would say. If you are a scientist in an academic lab, like where, you are either pursuing a PhD or you're doing a research in an academic situation or in institutions where you work with a team which has an more academically inclined goals.
Mm-hmm.
There are the typical days like started a project and I'm driving a project and I have a
Mm-hmm.
mentor. So
Okay.
I do
Okay.
experiments and then we discuss the data, and then my experiments won't work. So those days are hard because I have to start the experiment again. So it's going
Right.
back. But
Right.
I think it's all about thinking also like what will I fail? And it's
Mm-hmm.
something I really learned in the research field that I mean I know it's very easy to say here, but all the negative results are also super useful because they also telling us something. It's not like the result that I've always wanted or discovered, but at least I know, okay, this is not the way it's going to happen. Like, let's say, for an example of a vaccine
Mm-hmm.
for the COVID virus, right? So there's a very good discovery. There is having a vaccine made. For a very long time, they also struggled. The vaccine were,
Right.
for making,
Right.
coming out with the
Right.
final product. So they had
Right.
their own
Right.
failures. We can never reports anywhere because always the positive discoveries are,
Of course. Of course. Right.
appreciated. So the
Right.
negative ones, they all those negative ones added an information to come to the positive outcome. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So negative discoveries are useful, but yeah, those days are hard for me. Okay, it didn't work. Okay, I have to start again. So
Yeah.
that can be a little bit frustrating. So you have to be really motivated to, pursue, try it
Right.
again. And then, yeah, go back, read the literature, try again. So my typical day is like spending time in a lab because I am an academic
Okay.
scientist in an industry where
Mm-hmm.
you are like, so you work with a team where they have a goal already set in mind. You're not
Okay.
independent,
Okay.
like pursuing your own idea. They
Mm-hmm.
have like working. So the team goal is that, or the industry goal is that to make us product, like make this
Okay.
vaccine.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
really have
Okay.
to achieve that task. So that research is a little bit more organized and goal oriented, and you have less independence. But you go through the same process. There will be failures, there will be achievements, and then you're frustrated. There will be moments of success.
So, like you said, that there are two types of researchers: the foundational research and the traditional research. So, the industry-driven research is different from the academic-driven, is what I understand. Would you like
Yeah.
to tell more about that?
Yeah, so basically, I am more into foundational research, which is like basic research. Because I am in
Mm-hmm.
academic lab, so it's not a very product driven. Like we have to make this product or a vaccine. So
Mm-hmm.
it's basically we as a group of scientists in the lab. So I work with a mentor. I have a professor working with
Okay.
me, and then he
Okay.
guides me, and he kind of where I can go and share my findings. So it's mostly about discovering basic stuff in biology, like basic fundamental principles and
Okay.
theories in biology,
Okay.
and then coming up with new ideas that could be possibly happening in the cell. And so it's mostly curiosity driven, and then knowledge we it can be used in textbook that we learn very early on, like the pass it to the next generation and they learn very
Right.
early. So that's
Okay.
basic research. So you can see the
Mm-hmm.
rewards are really slow because,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it and then this knowledge will be shared by other people in forms of like textbook or they use in their own research. The
Right.
outcome is publication. So you publish your research. So that's reported and availability. Translation research is like you can, as the word says, like something which is translated into something.
Right,
So this
right.
is more rewarding in the sense like it's an approach where they use the basic research knowledge
Mm-hmm.
to develop a method or a
Right,
technique, product
right.
useful in real world scenarios. Like for an example, someone has to really do the basic research to study the virus. That was basic
Of
aspect of
course.
it. But then
Right.
someone had to really work to make a vaccine, which is a product, and that is actually solving a real world problem that to fight the virus.
So, if I
So
understand, researching the virus is the foundational research,
yes,
and creating a vaccine after studying the virus is the
yes,
translational. Fine.
yeah, the product.
Basically, using the traditional research, the outcome of that result, into actually making a product. So, both of these things are linked together, I feel.
Yeah,
And
but then traditional is more rewarding in the sense like, you're actually, my research is really actually impacting thousand or lives. So it is more rewarding in that sense, and people appreciate that more because basic research that sometimes can get like, get less limelight, but of course, translation research cannot work without the basic research as
so,
well.
why did you choose cell division? Why did you choose the academic or the foundational research?
I mean, that's a very good question. I think what I like about staying in the foundational research or basic research is that I get my own independence in what I
Okay.
want to do. My question is myself driven. I decide that this is what I want to work with depending on the resources I have. And the
Mm-hmm.
translational research is like the company has got a grant and then they
Mm-hmm.
want to make a vaccine because the grant
Right.
is for the vaccine. And then
Mm-hmm.
they have the entire team just have to make the
Right.
vaccine. You
Mm-hmm.
contribute in a different way, but not necessarily you can be really independent and you found something else and you start pursuing that.
Right.
You don't get that much of flexibility in a translational research. But
Basically, you're kind of your own boss while you're doing the foundational research that you can, research on what you like instead of just being driven by the goals of company or industry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So academic research works like that. And then let's say if I found something else and then I can
Mm-hmm.
write a new grant on that and then try to get money for that and then get more people
Nice.
and then
Yeah.
work on it. And then at the same time, those people are also a little bit independent. You can write your own
Right.
fellow like that. Yeah. It gives a little
So,
bit flexibility.
okay. Yeah, I understand. So, would you like to tell more about cell division, because you're actually working on cell division? What exactly is cell division?
Cell division is it's like, as we all know, like how one cell, so in the
Mm-hmm.
DNA, which is the basic molecule of the cell,
Mm-hmm.
has to be divided into two equal halves when it goes to the daughter cell, right? So one cell divides into two equal halves.
Okay.
And two
Mm-hmm.
daughter cells are formed, and then two
Mm-hmm.
will divide equally to form four, and that's how the cell multiplies in our body,
Right.
multiplies also. So
Right.
this process have to happen with a great precision. Cell division is really important in the sense that we study the every fine intricate details of this process
Mm-hmm.
and how that ensures that DNA divides into equal halves and the daughter cells get equal amount of DNA and so
Okay.
on. That's the idea of that's the process of cell division.
So if
In
I
layman,
try to understand in layman's language, then we are all humans. We are all made up of different organs, and the organs are made up of different cells, right? And every cell is keep on dividing, right?
yes.
And that is
Yeah.
how we grow. That is how a child grows from a child to a adult, right?
That's pretty much yeah. As we grow, the cell multiply, and then the multiplication has to be in a very precise manner. Let's say you have
Mm-hmm.
six chromosomes, so each cell should get six, right? But it end up getting five, so that means some problem happened, and then you have diseases. So that's how you have
Okay.
diseases. If this process doesn't happen normally, or one cell gets a little bit less DNA because of
Mm-hmm.
some problem
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, some problem that happened during cell division, then
Mm-hmm.
there will be diseases. So that's how you have
Okay, so basically, when we are developing, we get those diseases like the development disorders. You're also working on development disorders, or you're willing to work on development disorders, right?
yeah. So there's something which I did not mention earlier that so I worked on cell
Mm-hmm.
division during PhD and then started to work
Mm-hmm.
on cell division during postdoc as well. So basically, the
Mm-hmm.
cell division has to be error free, and if
Mm-hmm.
it is not error free, it leads to cancer. because
Okay.
cancer is like more DNA, having more or less DNA. So the cell become
Mm-hmm.
cancerous. But during this postdoc, I also started to, because of the exposure or the resources that was available in my lab, I also got
Mm-hmm.
kind of got excited about a role of a protein that I work in
Okay.
developmental disorder. So that's how I started also get involved in more into the
Mm-hmm.
developmental
Okay.
biology, where the idea is like how a problem in this, but these different proteins can lead to developmental disorders, which could be independent of cell division.
Okay. So does it also help in, for example, you said that if a cell is not dividing properly, it can lead to cancer, diseases like cancer. So does the research that you do help in, eliminating those disorders from a genetic level also? Like, for example, these days, the curing through genetic, working on the DNA or working on the genetic setup is very much in, and doctors are calling people for genetic tests also. So is it possible to cure such things with the help of, to cure the development disorders with the help of modifications in a person's DNA or the genes?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do actually. You can do genetic engineering, you can engineer. So the idea is that's why we exactly study these basic concepts, because they have
Mm-hmm.
disease perspective as well. And then our knowledge or whatever we identify, it's useful to treat the disease. And if not really treated, it to help
Mm-hmm.
us to do early diagnosis.
Right.
If there's a developmental disorder, so if I can understand the biological mechanism that drive that condition and what genes are involved in it, let's say if I
Mm-hmm.
identify that, I can
Mm-hmm.
use that information in diagnosis. Like, this
Understood.
child, if I get the DNA sample,
Mm-hmm.
has these kind of
Mm-hmm.
mutations and then is
Mm-hmm.
predisposed to a particular condition and could lead to a problem in future. So it could be an early diagnosis.
Okay.
And if there is potential treatment, or prevention for it, so you could apply that, or
Okay.
or you could
Okay.
do some engineering
Okay.
if possible. So every
Okay.
disease condition is different. Not I'm not going to say that everything can be, for every if I diagnose any developmental disorder, if you apply and do an
Mm-hmm.
genetic engineering, and then
Mm-hmm.
you can fit in. With humans, it's not that easy, and also there are
Obviously.
legal restrictions and
Mm-hmm.
all, but definitely you can prevent it if you know it. And then, yeah.
So there are certain rare genetic disorders, which a child develops from their birth. So how does those rare disorders come into picture? Because we have seen very less cases of those genetic disorders, but still they exist. So how and when they develop? Because the child is still in the womb of a mother, and still they.
I think it's also a lot about exposure. So nowadays, the kind of food we eat and
Mhm,
where we go outside, like it's a lot of
mhm,
pollution, and we are exposed to a lot of carcinogens. So you never know like when that happened. You cannot really predict. But yeah, it's all
mhm,
about there are two components of it. One is
mhm.
something called genetic predisposition. So sometimes when you have some genetic combinations, they are
Okay.
not that good. They are a little
Mhm,
bit
mhm.
more disastrous, but then sometimes they don't have lead to those severe results. But the outcomes could be serious because they were exposed to some environmental condition as well. So it's a combination of genetic predisposition, and if even if it wouldn't have led to
Mhm,
a disease outcome, if it
mhm.
was kept into a particular environment, it triggered that
Right.
these are like little bit complex and that ways. Yeah, so
I
it's a combination.
understand.
So, and also as we now then it's how many natural products we use. We really
Mhm.
use natural products, so that's why we are
Right. Right.
mutagen, and then the society has changed, our
Mm.
lifestyle has changed.
Right. So I think the research that you're making would really help going forward. If you research into, for example, development disorders and maybe identifying it early on and finding, diagnose it early on so that it can be treated early on. And that's really wonderful. So
Yes.
how difficult it is, to pursue a scientist career, how difficult it is on an everyday life as compared to the conventional careers. What
I think
keeps you
now,
motivated? Because I understand there must be a lot of pressure on you.
yeah, I think the pressure is all about I mean, if I would live in a very ideal condition, I'll just do my research, and if there's no pressure of publishing, it's perfect. But it doesn't work like that because you
Okay.
have peers, and
Okay.
then I need to get money, so I need to publish. Sometimes it
Mm,
can get stressful. and it is competitive as well, because
Right,
sometimes like
right.
the question is very like overlapping, and there are many teams
Right,
that many groups are
right.
working on it. So then you have to really be innovative, and then on to be on your toes to be able to finish it on time. And then it's all
Mhm.
about getting the paper, like publish it on your name, so
Right.
that you report it that it's we were the first one who did it. So it can get competitive as well.
How do you
One of my
maintain your mental sanity during that phase?
Yeah, it can get like, yeah, sometimes it's a little bit frustrating. You
Mm.
have a lot of negative beliefs, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I think I did not. One of the passions, other than, doing science, I have is like I have always interested in arts. So
Okay.
from childhood, I was very much interested in art and creative. It's like, yeah, I sometimes use those creative outlets to really, divert my attention if I relieve myself from the stress.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that keeps me occupied, really anxious, things are not working, what I'm gonna do future. And so it's kind of an outlet where I can, diverge my emotions, and then you keep your sanity, have other hobbies, cook sometimes.
I can understand that, because it's all a game of energy and you have to let go of the negative energy so that you can inhale the positive energy in. So, and you can let go of that negative energy in any way, be it art, be it cooking, or be it any other hobby that you have. I can totally understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea over there is the way I see is like, when you do something like anything other than your the careers, you do any other activity and you achieve it, I think it kinds of boosts your self-image. It's a sense of
Right. Right.
accomplishment, and then it builds your confidence, and then you again go back to.
It's a cycle, boosting you are feeling low, then you do something, it boosts your confidence, and then you apply it in your work. And again, it's kind of a cycle that keeps on repeating. I can totally understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like you said, that as part of your journey to the postdoctoral that you're doing right now, so you had to live in various different parts of India as well as you shifted to United States. So, how difficult was it to adjust to different cultures and different areas and finally establishing yourself in the United States?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, because I did have this challenge when I was doing PhD, and then
Mm-hmm.
this was a it was a complete different shift. Adjusting, I think, to a new place in India, and also here
Mm-hmm.
in a new country, and then make my own place while adapting to all these different cultures. It was challenging in the beginning, but also I would say I think it was rewarding as well, because I can just talk about moving to US. Here, when I first arrived here, there are a lot of things that are different here when you actually see compare the country,
Right.
a very different culture. I feel it's also a different mindset. Society has a very different mindset. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
independent society.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a lot of help in India. Here, you have to do everything by yourself. And then among this, I have to establish myself professionally. And then you have people from diverse group cultures, different
Right.
countries. And then it gets like competitive, and then you're anxious. And then I think having good support system, you meet people who
Mm-hmm.
also had the similar
Mm-hmm.
journey, and they kind of
Right.
work towards it. And then I think you grow as a person, and then it works out, and you eventually establish yourself professionally. So it basically requires a lot of effort, and believe in self. You have to come out of your comfort zone. You meet people from different cultures
Mm-hmm.
as well, broaden your perspective, and then you also grow as a person. I know that initially it feels hard, but then after learning from their unique perspective, because they come from different cultures, so you
Right.
feel, oh, so I shared this culture with this people who, despite the rationality, oh, it's so
Right.
similar. And then you will
Right.
say, oh, this is so different here. So
Right.
it's,
It broadens your outlook because, we are speaking to so many people from so many different areas, and we realize that we're all different in some ways, but then we're
yeah,
all similar also in some ways.
exactly. Yeah, even if they are from different culture, they have their own challenge, like
Of course. Right.
language, and then food.
Mm.
So that was a little bit hurdle for me in the beginning. But then you establish yourself, that you also become independent, because now I cook
Yes.
everything by myself.
Living alone in a different country, then being financially independent, being emotionally independent. So independence is what you get, freedom is what you get. So that's really wonderful That's really nice. Yeah. So, any key takeaway, Neha, for all the listeners out there?
Yeah, I would say it's very important to embrace what you really want to pursue in life and work towards it. Make small goals, make big goals, and then you have failures. Even if you achieve small goals, give yourself a pat because that's a achievement in itself. And then be open to opportunities because something I also learned during my journey that there are a lot of career opportunities. It's not only about like those conventional or job opportunities or careers we
Mm-hmm.
have. Something I learned, about science and art. So I have interest in art and I am pursuing
Mm-hmm.
science. Nowadays, I know people having careers in the field where they use art as a medium to communicate science. So you basically can combine your
Okay.
one with the other and then
Okay.
communicate well with the people out there. So it's a very new having.
So, how do you communicate science with the help of art?
Yeah, I started to. So actually, when I moved here, there was a pandemic, and then there was lot, and then I really couldn't do a lot of experiments in the lab. So at that time, I realized by looking at my colleagues who were also doing the same
Mm-hmm.
thing
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
I can also try to use my creativity to, communicate scientific ideas. So the way you do it is like, let's say, if you want to explain it to a child, what does a
Mm-hmm.
nucleus look like? Imagine a nucleus as a half sphere. So let's say if you give a
Mm.
noodle ball to a child, so you will say this is a half nucleus where the DNA is like a noodle, and
Okay.
then you have like some kind of a spaghetti is the
Mm-hmm.
DNA.
Mm.
You have like
Okay.
some
Right.
veggies as well as some kind of proteins were sticking to the noodle. So it's like a drawing which is illustrating a science.
Nice.
So it's a very easy way to
Mm.
teach a youngster because they get attracted to these drawings or the graphics, and so you use these mediums to actually communicate your research or scientific ideas, and then they
That
learn it
is for a layman to understand all these things and to implement all these things in their daily life. If they have these simple illustrations, that is so wonderful. That's really
fast.
wonderful. Yeah.
Be open to opportunities, and because you never know, you can come up with these different career options and then meet new people, you'll get new perspective and then have a good support system to help you when you feel stuck.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Okay, so Neha, I really like the takeaway that you gave. Now, my last question would be, to all the students out there who are pursuing biology and who have not yet think of outside the doctoral career, being a doctor or being a scientist or the budding scientist who are thinking of whether I should become a scientist or not. For all the students out there in the schools and the colleges, what would be your advice if they want to become a scientist?
First advice I would like to give is like it's not like you know already when you're very young that you will be a successful scientist or not. There is no way to find out unless you try it. So definitely first you have to put yourself out into that environment where you think like you want to try doing experiments, like try these research opportunities you get like internship opportunities during your summers. There you can get a hands-on experience and then you can learn whether you really like
Mm-hmm.
about yourself, whether you really like
Right.
research or not. And if you think you like it, then go for it. And then there's no hard and fast path. But yeah, I would say pick a topic, a broad topic that you think that really interests you, because that's really important. Because in research, things gonna fail most of the time. Most of the time, the successes are less than the failures. I'm not gonna lie on this. But whenever there's a moment of success, you feel very good about it. But you really feel good when you know this is what you wanted to do, like in the broad perspective in the field, like you can be an immunologist, you like, because biology also have very subdivisions. Bioinformatics, you can use the IT knowledge of biology.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really into developing products, then it will be more biotechnology. So
Mm-hmm.
then you have immunology, you have like molecular biology. There are a lot of different sub branches of biology. Then you have environmental sciences. Then you have in every aspect you can do research. So you need to really know your niche where you
Right.
think you really want to, you're interested in, because that's very important. And then, but also at the same time, don't be so rigid, like, no, I want to do only cell division, because that kinds of very narrow downs your research question
Mm-hmm.
very early.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know cell division at that time. And also, like, sometimes a lot of new research is going on, we don't know yet. So what I'm
Okay.
trying to say
Okay.
is like be sure about what you want to do. If you want to do immunology, that the immune system interest in biology interests you more, go
Mm-hmm.
for it. And then narrow down like, oh, which part of the immunology you like. And then you
Mm-hmm.
have lot of labs and different topics that you can do research. And then, if new technology excites you, then go for that. So be a little bit more passionate about what you want to do. At the same time, be a little bit more flexible in what kind of opportunities you get in that area that you
Right.
really want to pursue. And then things
Right.
fall in place, connect with people, ask for advice, because that's something I did not do. There are a lot of people who, now we
Mm-hmm.
have LinkedIn, there are a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
who are into research, contact
Mm-hmm.
them. They
Right.
take it for
Right.
informational interviews, like, how did you get there? And then, how you did this part thing. So you can do all of that nowadays. And then sometimes you can resonate yourself with someone and then you want to do the same thing what they did, things like that. So that's what I
That.
would say. Look for role models and
Mm-hmm.
help early on to guide you, and then so
Mm-hmm.
that you get new opportunities, the success rate is.
I think that's a powerful advice for all the budding scientists or the budding biologists out there, Connect with people, find out your role models. And like you said, LinkedIn is a very good platform today to connect with the people you who are similar minded to you, or you can, watch the podcast, like your podcast, and be inspired that, I listen to the biologist and yes, I can also do it. So that ways they will be inspired, motivated by your journey, and that will be really wonderful. And I would be very happy if even one person is inspired.
I would be very happy to, because I hope this information really helps someone who come out of a comfort zone. Reach out to people. Sometimes people really help others. Yeah.
I can resonate with that. Sometimes people are afraid to reach out, but be free, be open, like you said. Feel free to reach out to people. Even if first person won't respond, second person won't respond, third
Yeah.
person will definitely do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neha, for all the wonderful insights into the world of biology for a layman language and explaining it in a very simple language so that every one of us can understand. Thank you so much for your valuable time because I know how deep you are into your work and how a scientist's life is, like you said. So thank you so much for coming onto my podcast and giving me your.
Thank you, Swati, for doing this. And I really hope I all this information and all these insights help someone somewhere.
It will do, definitely. Thank you so much. And keep on doing the great work that you're doing. And really thankful to all of you, all the biologists, all the scientists who are putting their day in and day out in finding out new things about the human body and somehow helping us diagnose our diseases earlier or getting a cure of them. Thank you so much, Neha. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye, Swati.